Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Mountain Forums. My name is Jacob. I'm one of the content marketing leads here at Mountain, and I'm going to be your moderator for today. In today's forum, we'll be joined by guests from the ATTN Agency, who will not only talk to us about the benefits of connected TV advertising, but how agencies can harness the power of this fast-growing media channel to help their clients drive growth. Now, Mountain has been working very closely with Attention recently, so closely, in fact, that our relationship is the focus of one of our latest ad campaigns. Now, before I bring on our guests, I wanted to share a clip to give you an idea of what we've accomplished together.
We have built Attention where we've hired great people that are committed to our clients' goals because they're passionate about what they do.
Wander's been a client of Attention's for about 3 years now. We worked really hard to be able to understand every part of their business. Performance through Mountain has been amazing. We ended up scaling to twice what their budget was.
That's what performance marketing is. How did I grow your brand? Here's the data to validate it, and here's how we're going to scale these strategies. That's true data-driven performance and growth marketing.
Now I'd like to introduce today's speakers. Justin Buckley, co-founder of the Attention Agency, Mike Uslan, Director of Brand Strategy, and Stephen Rhoads, Director of Paid Search and Programmatic. Justin, Mike, Stephen, thanks for joining us, and take a moment and tell the folks at home a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Justin Buckley. I'm one of the co-founders at Attention Agency. We identify ourselves as performance and growth marketing agencies. So we're trying to find solutions for our brands to finding the most new customers to help grow their brand at the cheapest cost possible, the most efficient cost possible. We do that through paid search, programmatic, shopping, paid social, including Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and YouTube, and connected TV. We also provide message marketing services, including email, SMS, and direct mail. So with that, I'll kick it over to one of our directors, Michael Uslan, to introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Michael Uslan, Director of Brand Strategy here at Attention Agency. I've been in the digital marketing world, specifically agencies, for well over a decade now. Cut my teeth on info marketing, working with one of the top international business and motivational speakers in the world, leading his marketing efforts for some time, and then moving over to Neil Patel Digital, where I worked and specialized in SEO. I've been here at Attention Agency for 4 or 5 years now. I have my own book of business. I also lead a whole team who all have their own books of businesses. We work with clients anywhere from startups just trying to get going and trying to find their right niche to be able to grow profitably, to businesses that are making well over 100 million a year that want to continue to expand and continue to find how they can break through to that even next level by being profitable with all of our services. And now I'll turn it over to Stephen.
Thanks. My name is Stephen Rhoads. I'm the Director of Search and Programmatic here at Attention Agency. I've spent, sadly, maybe more than 2 decades in marketing, primarily at advertising agencies, but building full funnel strategies that honestly relentlessly focus on driving business results, because in my mind, that's who pays the checks. If we don't drive business results, we're not going to be hired the next time for that. So from branding to bottom line, I believe that marketing has to be more than those vanity metrics, right? We're delivering bottom line results. So that's the way I approach everything. I've had the privilege to work across almost every major marketing channel: search, shopping, YouTube, social media, CTV, display, influencer marketing, outdoor, and even SEO. So I have that breadth of understanding to like how these things integrate together to build that funnel, and working in all those personally, again, helps me integrate that and not just fall for the latest marketing tactic. So I've had, experience working with, amazing clients like CrossFit, Belkin, Merck Manuals, Charter, which is now Spectrum, the huge cable company, Horizon Hobby, Bones Coffee, and Goose Creek Candles, just to name a few. But it's really across every industry. We focus a lot on e-commerce, but we also have retail, we have restaurants, we have finance, healthcare, tech that I have experience in. So again, no matter what the vertical, like I'm saying here today, like CTV, there's a way to use it that can be beneficial to your brand. And again, it's part of that full funnel effort, and it really is something that can be used to make your CFO smile. And what I mean by that is, the business owners, the people that care about the money, this is marketing that can deliver if used in the right way. So that's my presentation and my approach, and I'll pass it back.
All right. Well, thanks, y'all. Now, before I officially pass the mic to y'all to start this discussion, I just wanted to remind everyone that we will have time for a Q&A at the end of today's session. So if you have a question for our guests during the presentation, please feel free to drop that into the Q&A chat you see on your screen. All right, guys, without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic to you. Take it away.
All right. I have no idea who over at Mountain decided that we could guide our own conversation, but we are hoping and confident that we're going to bring a really dynamic conversation to everybody. Really like taking a perspective, threefold perspective and approach to this. So first, for brands, if you're evaluating connected TV, if you're thinking, if you're thinking about bringing it into your stack, what should you be considering? What you should think about? From an agency perspective, why did we choose Mountain as our partner, and what matters, right? What is really going to help us help our clients? And the last part of this is going to be kind of like a big picture, unified strategy. How do we bring everything under one roof so that it's not siloing strategies across different channels? And then, as Jacob mentioned, we'll be opening up to the floor. So, really looking forward to this. I think level setting. Since 2020, brands have felt increasing stability from really historically predictable channels like Meta and Google. I think we hear fairly consistently complaints from brands that Meta is occasionally too volatile to scale. TikTok's future is too uncertain to invest. Google's rising costs feel erosive or corrosive to returns. And each one of these hurdles are making performance harder to predict and scale to model, or growth to model. So brands have been looking for opportunities to reduce their dependence on the big 2 to 3 channels, and we need a channel that supports targeted strategic scale. For attention, that's where connected TV and programmatic and a lot of the tools that Mountain brings to the table, that's where it comes in. We're able to programmatically deploy purposeful in-market and affinity audiences, similar to how we would build aware audiences in YouTube, to help tell a brand building story while also measuring how effective those efforts are at driving purchases, foot traffic, phone calls, leads, whatever your individual goal is. So I want to open this up. First question, I'm going to put Stephen on the hot seat. How should brands think about connected TV in relation to other channels like YouTube, TikTok, or Meta?
All right, great question. Primarily, I see Mountain or CTV as a top of funnel play, but there is also immense value in driving awareness for like sales pushes and things like that. So, it really depends on, again, your business outcome or your business outcome you're looking for. The good thing is that Mountain has reached that, I like to call like unskippable eyeballs, right? Because all these other channels were hoping for a thumb stop, right? This is them actually allowing you to deliver your brand message, right? And a lot of platforms nowadays don't fully allow that. So that's kind of how I see it differently. And number one, it fits into that where you can prospect, but you can also engage people in the cart abandonment flow that need to hear a message, that need to know something. About your brand, about your connectedness to them, maybe the lifestyle or that type of thing. Or maybe it's just that they need to know that you have, it might be an expensive item and they didn't know you have payment plans, even if it's that, right? But it's unskippable. You can actually deliver a brand message. So that's how it's kind of different than Meta or TikTok and even YouTube. YouTube gives you that first 5 seconds before the skip button, which is great. But, this allows you that full 30 seconds, or 15 seconds to, actually deliver that brand message, right? In YouTube, you want to like say that brand message of, what the brand is and why should that end user care? That's the same thing with TV, right? That's the same thing because you want to hook them, because no matter if they play the 30 seconds or not, you want to hook them, right? Why should they care and listen to the remaining 30 seconds? So one of the biggest things is it fits in that whole cycle. But it allows you to deliver that message.
So you touched on something that I think is really important, which is the difference between how people engage with different platforms. right? Meta is a click farm and YouTube is a view farm. So is TikTok. It's really hard to drive clicks from a TV, something that's fixed to your wall. So what metrics really matter when you're measuring the success of a connected TV campaign? And how might that differ from traditional digital platforms, whether that's Google search, Google Shopping, or Facebook, Instagram ads?
Right, right. Now you want to make sure that the biggest thing is it measurable, right? And it should honestly be something that you're already tracking internally that you want to make an impact with, right? So if it, if it's not easy, as in an e-commerce sale, in easy like come to the website and buy later, it's measurable though. Even if it's retail sales, like in this zip code, in these areas, what are the retail sales? Did we see a lift, right? It just needs to be something that's measurable, but it also needs to be something that delivers revenue or new user growth or something that, is going to give you profit. That's why we're doing marketing, right? So again, keep it focused on what we're doing. But the biggest thing, no matter what, even if it's an offline number, something measurable, and on again, it can be total revenue at store level or total revenue within a state, or products move within a state. It just has to be something that's measurable. And that's the main thing, and we can do holdout tests we'll get into later, but it's that's it, measurable. That's how you set it up for performance. And don't go after cheap CPMs. Don't go after impression numbers, because you really don't matter what your CPM is. I've had some clients where we are targeting highly specific individuals, meaning they have to have a certain job title and work in healthcare and blah, 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 blah. And so that was maybe $180 CPMs, but it was a very successful campaign because we were selling CAT scan machines, right? So it's it really depends on what it is, but you can absolutely target and grow and do it profitably.
Amazing. I'm really excited to get into the strategy on the second part of this. But if you were to think about the metrics that you would evaluate for an e-commerce brand that's selling fast-moving consumer goods, maybe it's a coffee company or a candle company, just fast-moving AOV $20, versus it's like a law firm or a flower shop or a retail storefront. In each of these scenarios, what are the metrics that you would focus on outside of views? In a click versus view world, what are the things that you lean into that Mountain provides as part of your overall strategy?
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I mean, really, it's like, again, if we can't have just straight e-commerce sales or I guess numbers in the platform, in the engine kind of thing, we definitely rely and have with Mountain too on like brand lift studies, right? Because it's basically like, did more people that saw your commercial versus didn't, do they know about your brand? I know a lot of people have had brand lift studies with other companies, but we've seen amazing results with these companies, and they're a lot more detailed. I've seen some brand lift studies by, let's just say at Google, that it's basically like yes and no. I mean, it's not very detailed, right? It's like these people liked you, 0.1% more, and these other people that didn't see it liked you 0.03% more. So what does it tell you? Right. Mountain's brand lift studies actually gives you information and pretty granular. They're like, who did you lift with, right? Because sometimes you didn't see a huge lift, but then when you look at, I don't know, women of a certain age group, you saw a 30% lift. It's just we were doing a broad broadcast and didn't see that in the noise, but their brand studies are pretty detailed. And we also do holdout tests. We do a lot of holdout tests because we want to make sure that what we're doing wasn't just a fluke, that, yeah, sales went up in that state, but it was also because a bunch of people got colds and they bought that cold medicine. And, there's other factors, but doing holdout tests where you're in certain geos and not in certain geos to help validate those results.
Amazing. So Mike, I want to kick it over to you. The things that Stephen just talked through, especially like the brand lift studies and attribution. I'm really interested to hear from you, coming from your role is really developing strategy with our brand partners to help their entire business grow. So when you think about the role that connected TV plays in the conversion path, how do you help our brand partners understand that indirect but powerful role that connected TV is playing?
Sure. So it's part of the ecosystem. And it's really important that you understand your own ecosystem before diving into CTV. What are you already deploying that is doing well? And what's the data points behind that? Things that are doing well, Meta in general, CPCs, and your ROAS, of course. How is that all looking? But on the Google side, what's the amount of people looking for your brand? And can you kind of benchmark that? Because, like you said, Justin, CTV is not clickable. Can't click on your TV. So, what Mountain provides, and I love their attribution system, is if somebody shows up to the site without any UTMs, but that IP has been hit with a CTV ad, they're going to get credit for that. But people aren't always ready to pull out their phone and purchase right then. They want to do that research. So are people searching for your brand more because you launched your CTV efforts? Are people, and on the non-brand side, are people indirectly searching and finding your brand because they're researching around it? We're going to talk a lot about Bones Coffee because we work really well with them on Mountain. And so the question is, are they searching for coffee more? Best flavored coffee. Is that showing up more? And is there more of an opportunity for you to bid on that because there's purely more volume?
Amazing.
Feel it? Yeah.
Yeah. What types of businesses have you seen perform best on connected TV? When we think about whether we're onboarding net new, the industries, the types of businesses, when we think about like when we bring connected TV into a conversation with a client, what's the framework that you're using to evaluate whether or not it's appropriate?
Sure. There's a handful of things kind of on the checklist before we're willing to really introduce heavily Mountain and CTV in general into the mix. CTV, I personally don't believe should be the only marketing channel. You need that ecosystem. Are you doing at least a little bit on Meta? Are you doing at least a little bit on Google so you can continue to find people around the internet? And because we're in a very dispersed world, if you will, it's going to take more and more views and clicks to get that first sale. It used to be back in the day, it was 5, 6 times show up in front of somebody and you're going to eventually get them to convert. Now it's 20, 50 times because there's so many different opportunities. So just showing up once, twice while streaming isn't going to necessarily do the part. So do you have a marketing ecosystem around it? I'm not saying hundreds and hundreds of thousands on each channel. Just do you have the ability to capture the demand that you're generating through Mountain and all of its streaming capabilities?
Awesome. Stephen, something Mike brought in around search trends, so non-brand versus brand and brand lift studies, and you mentioned something about that as well. But one of the things Mike was explaining was the ability for Mountain to associate the IP where an asset has been served, the devices that are connected to that IP address so that we can effectively retarget after somebody has seen an ad. One of the consistent criticisms, I think, that TV, linear or convergent or connected, they have to address consistently is how incremental each of those views is, right? So how are we making sure that the person who saw an ad wasn't already going to purchase? How do we know how do we make sure that Meta didn't drive the click first, and then you're just retargeting those users 1,000 times before they make a decision to purchase, but they actually got an email and that's how they did it. So kind of jumping ahead a little bit into execution, but I'm really interested in diving into a little bit that the idea of how we make sure we're controlling audiences to drive growth at the top of the funnel, to expose our brand partners to net new eyeballs, net new audiences that are meaningful, rather than just retargeting and kind of like cherry picking from the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's segmentation is key, and knowing like who you're talking to and why you're talking to them is critical, right? It's so one of the things we do in prospecting is to ensure, like you said, there's no overlap. Or not just like, oh, they went to Meta and they were about to buy, then they went to lunch and we showed them a TV while they're at lunch, right? No, this we exclude anybody that's been to the website as a prospecting for 30 days. So they've been to the website in the last 30 days. We're not even showing them a TV ad whatsoever. Again, some of our clients, we might have a remarketing campaign or a lifetime value or a current customer campaign that for certain specific uses, but 80+% of our budget is usually for prospecting. And like I said, that's not connecting with anybody that's been to the website in the last 30 days. That's how we make sure that we're bringing new incrementality in, right? It's inspiring them to come in because we have YouTube and Facebook and all these different remarketing campaigns that can handle a lot of the marketing messaging. Once someone came to the site, we're trying to find new people that might not be on YouTube, that might not be on Facebook, that might not be on TikTok. All those people exist, right? But they watch TV usually, right? There's other people. And so that's where we have to make sure that we're just not dipping into the pool of the easy bake oven of remarketing or someone who's been there. And a lot of us know that the conversion funnel is 1 to 7 to 14 days, right? Anytime within that, I'm not really bringing incrementality. So that's really how we make sure we do it is, and again, we can have remarketing or LTV to have certain other messages pushed because that's the same thing too. You want to make sure you're saying the right thing at the right time.
So,
and Justin, to add to that, just to clarify for everyone as well, because everybody kind of uses these terms a little differently. When attention agency is talking about prospecting, we're trying to talk to absolutely net new eyeballs. When we're talking to retargeting, anybody who has interacted in some capacity but have not purchased, LTV is going to be anybody who has purchased. So when Stephen's saying that we're going after prospecting with Mountain, we're trying to honestly bring net new eyeballs through Mountain to the site. Yes, we'll have some retargeting efforts to bring those people back, but like Stephen said, it's a small part of the budget because usually there's an ecosystem that helps support those efforts as well. And you're not getting the growth that we are working for if we fund those retargeting LTV down funnel things more than we are doing prospecting.
it's an amazing point, and something that probably gets often misunderstood is a correlation between channel reported ROAS and actual growth, right? Generally, the higher your ROAS is, the less incremental those campaigns are. And there are always like nuance and caveats to every general statement. But if you're hitting a lower funnel, if you're hitting a returning purchasers over and over and over, and they come back and purchase, the incremental value that ad drove, hitting somebody that already purchased, already likes your brand, unless it's driving somebody to a new product, a new colorway, something that's net new that you want to bring them in. If they're just coming back on repeat, buying another product, it's really hard to validate or to say clearly that like that ad that they saw wouldn't drove the conversion, that it wouldn't have happened otherwise, but it will self-report as very high ROAS. So in our cases, when we're focusing on that net new person, the person that hasn't been to your website, the person that hasn't been exposed to your brand before, so that they can develop that affinity for your brand, they're already in market, right? We're building that audience for those people in market, but they don't know who you are. They don't know you exist. And now let's bring them in from one more creative storytelling angle so that you can still hit them on paid social. You can still hit them on YouTube. We're just hitting them with everything that we see. We want to make sure that those people that we're bringing into your brand have never, as best that we can determine, whether that's excluding our first party customer lists, our first party audiences, or the site visitors from Mountain's pixels, just excluding all these different audiences to make sure that in market, but never exposed to you before. So we kind of jumped into strategies. So we're just going to pivot right now into like some of these like deep dives, like a deeper dive into how we might construct a full big picture CTV strategy. So Stephen, what I'm looking for right now from you is like, if we're your team right? We're the team, and you're helping us develop a top-down, top of funnel awareness to we're driving conversions lower funnel. Help us build a performance-focused CTV campaign from audience development to optimization. What do you do?
Awesome. Let's see. So first, like, who is it? Like, I like to say it's like those most likely to buy. Like, because we don't want to show up to everybody. We want to show up to those most likelies, right? If if you're selling coffee, let's show up to coffee drinkers, right? Minimally, right? A lot of the other stuff from the different channels or the different Google or Facebook, we might have research into like what household income or what age group we do well with. That's where you start, right? And again, we're not going after those people that have been to your site, but let's start with those most likely, right? So if you do really well with, say the top 40% of incomes and maybe a 10 to 20 year age span, that's where we start with coffee drinkers, right? Let's start with that most likely. Yes, we want to show up to everybody and sell a billion things of coffee, but that's not where we start. We make profit, and then we use that profit to push into broader markets, right? Or find different niches to go into. So targeting is super duper important, and understanding like who you're targeting and who you're talking to. So granularity. Mountain's amazing with granularity. They have, all the programmatic audiences, and they allow us to do impression limits, right? So impression limits allows us to broaden the reach. Because sometimes, again, especially when there's maybe too small of an audience, like what we did one campaign where we had to target in one state and in like, limited counties even. And so it couldn't spend the budget. And so sadly, like, with another vendor, it had a lot of impressions, right? It just gave every person like hundreds of impressions a day, which is horrible, versus reach, right? With impression limits, we can limit that, right? We can make sure that that's in place and that we're reaching them. So it's who you're talking to, how you're talking to them, and know who you're at. And then it's the content. We need to make sure the content works for it. So even if you have a 2-minute ad, most likely there's 20 hooks in there that are great information that people need to know, great benefits of the product. But if you've looked at your metrics, no one's getting past 45 seconds. I mean, maybe 10, 20% maybe are getting past them. So no one even knows those benefits exist. And so like making iterations where that 2 minutes can be cut into 15 seconds or 30-second iterations. So we're delivering different messages to people. Because again, yes, you have a great flavored or a great scented candle. That's terrific. If I see that one 15 times, I'm not going to want your candles more, right? I need to know, you have, smoke-free wicks, or you're, 100% soy-based, or, whatever, right? Something else about it. You have a payment plan, something that, I need to know more about you. So that's what it is don't depend on one asset. Don't think showing the same asset over and over is going to help you. And then speak to the different people, like I said, in the funnel. So when you're prospecting, who are you? Why should I care about that? And then once you've clicked in, once you've come to the website, depending on how long your sales funnel normally is, what do you need to talk about? Maybe it's the safety features. We represent a very high-end stroller company, right? Maybe it's the safety features or durability or ease of use to fold it up and get it into a car. Maybe it's because it's a high-end product and costs a lot of money. Maybe it is the payment plans. Break it into 4, interest-free payments. But don't tell me to break it into 4 interest-free payments before I even know who you are and what you sell, right? Before I've come to your website and engaged with you. So right. Just again, make sure you're delivering that right message that isn't awkward. So,
yep. You mentioned earlier holdout tests, and I am a cautiously or optimistically skeptical brand owner, and I know I see ads on TV, but I'm not sure it's going to work for me. I know that I've been exposed to brands that I've probably purchased, but how is it going to work for my brand? What kind of tests do you have the team execute to measure true impact, to report back to that, cautiously optimistic or optimistically skeptical brand owner on how to invest their money? How do you build tests?
Absolutely. And we have the range of skeptical clients. Some are very trustworthy. Again, we've earned that trust, but some are, we've earned their trust, but they're still super skeptical, and that's fine, right? But the way we do it is holdout tests and multiples of them, right? So again, we're testing, New York, California, Texas, Florida, Colorado, and Illinois, maybe, right? Well, again, we're going to look at all those separately. So the three that are, see the video and the three that don't see the video, we've actually calculated with, multiple metrics to find states that are even, right? So again, we're usually test states that are kind of even. And by even, I mean, even in conversion rate, even in ROAS, even and it all balances out. So we're not testing Texas against a North Dakota, right? We're not going to do that. So making sure the holdout test is appropriate and proper, and then looking at it so that you have to have 3 wins, maybe 2 out of 3 wins to convince them, and no wins in the other column, right? And that's really it, is just making sure that measurable KPI that you're looking for, that conversion goal, number one, you can measure it, and then doing test to hold out. Because when you group things together, again, the whole might win, the whole might do pretty good, but then you find out, oh, really, 2 of these states out of the 3 were amazing, right? And then you need to isolate what was different in those states. It might be an income variable. It might be something else, right? But that's why you do it on an individual basis, because if you lump it into test A and test B as a group and look at it as that, you're going to get a bunch of mud in the back end. So
amazing. All right, Mike, I'm going to flip over to you. So with all these things, right, all the different tools that we have, internal, so like the channel provided tools, external tools, what tools do you and your team use to pressure test performance results that Stephen's team is driving across connected TV and across all channels?
Yeah, this is where I like to tell clients I can pretend to be their CFO a little bit, because it's never straightforward because the ecosystem is so big and fractured. You want to start again with the other channels, kind of benchmark those channels. How is my performance for some prospecting, retargeting, LTV on each channel? Just know that. Have some historical numbers there. Then when you introduce Mountain, trust that the data coming in is good data. We've actually been really surprised and had to consult Mountain a few times about some of the data, some of the performance, because it looked too good, because it was really, really good. But that is, like you said, is the platform doing its job of making itself look good? And kind of all these platforms want to take a little bit of credit. So understand that, all right, these are my metrics for this individual channel. Are the metrics changing on the other channels as I do it? Is my performance going down on any of those because it's just shifting over there? Do I need to change my targeting? But the kind of the ultimate number that you want to look at is your bottom line. And it's called marketing efficiency ratio. So MER or POAS, your profit on your ad spend. As an agency, I can't look at all the numbers going in and out of a business, but I can look at my sphere of influence. How much money are we putting out? How much actual profit in Shopify, the net revenue, is coming in? Did that increase? Did that stay the same? Is the revenue number going up, but the marketing efficiency ratio is staying the same? So we're pumping out more budget, but we're actually growing the business at the right profit level. It's evaluating all of those. And then as you get a little bit more, as you graduate a little bit more with your data, introducing third-party attribution systems like a Triple Whale or a Northbeam to be able to kind of validate everything across the board, it's extremely helpful. But just knowing your historical numbers before going into it is step 1.
Awesome. But also, in addition to MTN, MMM models that can be provided by tools like Triple Whale, Northbeam, Prescient AI, these are really important to understand, especially incrementality when you're running on view-based platforms, to really understand the value of the view. The value of a click is a lot more discernible. The value of a view is a bit harder, right? So these third-party MTA and MMM tools are very valuable in validating whether or not the platform is doing heavy lifting. And again, it's not necessarily the platform as much as it's the strategy, right? This is just a tool to reach an audience. And within that tool, we have a lot of levers that we can pull to make sure that we're targeting the right audiences, bringing the right people in, that the right people are being exposed to a brand, that the creative is telling the right story, and then we can measure that. There are other tools that you can bring in, things like no commerce, post-purchase surveys to validate, where that person remembers they saw your ad. A lot of times, there's nuance there as well. Was that just the most memorable experience that they had? Was that the only experience that they remember? So you can validate that there was delivery, that people remember it, but it can also be used as a tool to understand how effective those ads were, right? How effective they were at recall. So if you're looking at connected TV, and that's an option on a post-purchase survey of like, where did you discover us for new customers? You can also show them various ads that you might be running at any given time to understand which one of those creatives actually brought those people to your brand. What was the thing that got them to remember, oh yeah, that's the creative, that's the asset I saw, and that's why I decided to purchase. So with that little dive into the creative, I think we all think that creative is probably the most important part of a successful campaign. Without great creative, the best targeting is going to fall on deaf ears, right? So that's really the pin of your success is on how powerful your creative is at getting people to remember you and to take action. We've been really fortunate to work with an amazing creative partner. Shout out to the Raindrop agency and their entire team. We worked with them across a variety of brands, and they've actually made some of our top performing creative. Really want to quickly show an asset that they made to highlight how effective this creative is in building a brand and helping grow the brand.
Waking up is scary. But what's spookier than spooky? More horrifying than horror? Deathier than death itself? Bad beans. Thank the Dark Lord, there's Bones Coffee. We've got over 30 killer concoctions.
Cannolis, salted pretzels, strawberry cheesecake.
Stop drinking hot bean water and resurrect your caffeine routine. Click the link to get yourself a bag of bones today.
I love a lot about, like, it's just a fun video, great CTA, it's memorable. They did a great job on this. We were able to scale this over the course of 2 to 3 years. We've run this consistently across YouTube, connected TV. It has done a phenomenal job at bringing in net new customers to the brand. But I can also say that, one of the there's just some highlights from that video alone, right? We've had a number of videos from them, but to be able to scale over the course of 2 years to reach over 90 million households at a 10% conversion rate on verified visits, these are the things that matter, right? They matter to brands because they know that we're reaching a scalable audience. It's well targeted, it's within, but the creative is really drawing people in. But creative is also one of the biggest barriers for brands entering the space. That having TV-ready creative is a lot different than running ads on Meta, static images or 15-second UGC videos. It's very different. There are costs that are incurred. So to help overcome some of those issues with net new customers, we've been able to work with Mountain and QuickFrame to help produce turnover creative that either helps net new brands test into connected TV without that upfront cost that can be a barrier to entry, or also sit in between as you're like working on these huge pieces, these huge brand moments that might take 3 to 6 months to develop out and approve and make sure that everything is on point. We've been able to work with Mountain and QuickFrame to help through their creative accelerator, help actually create net new creative quickly enough that we can get a meaningful test. And I want to highlight one of those, or show one of those assets, to give the QuickFrame team a little shout out. So Jacob, we can show the torque video now.
I wasn't ready to pay $3,000 to have a professional ceramic coat my car, even if it's my baby. Instead, I used Torque ceramic spray to keep it protected and shining like new. It takes minutes to apply, lasts for months, so easy, my actual babies can do it.
I'm not a baby.
Missed a spot there, buddy. Torque creates a self-cleaning shield that keeps dirt and street grime from sticking while also repelling rain. That car, it's been like a father to them. Order now at torquedetail.com.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Jacob. So, what I want to highlight this with you, Mike. I want to ask some questions just to kind of paint a picture of what this process looks like for net new brands that are coming in. They might be investing into additional creative, and this is an additive element to help launch, or they're net new and they're not really quite sure that they how much they can invest into creative. It's a huge part of the evaluation, right? Because we still have to make that money back on the when we start using that collateral. So how does Attention help our clients who don't have creative in place, or they need a stopgap while larger products are in production?
Sure. Yeah, like you said, creative can be a barrier to entry here. And about that barrier to entry, Meta, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, they're a lot less loose with their creative requirements. And when it comes to length, what's in it, the amount of testing you can do with it. Whereas CTV, it needs to kind of fit a certain mold, 15 or 30 seconds, not 15 to 30, 15 seconds exactly, or 30 seconds exactly. You have, you're going to want to get your brand in front of it, something unique, something to hook people so that you can distract them, get their eyes to look up from their phone while you're streaming, because you're always competing with social media, and you want to have them do something. So getting that type of script together, it's not easy. You can't just always repurpose the content that you have. Attention Agency, our unique partnership with Mountain has afforded us the ability to work with a company through Mountain called QuickFrame that can get a commercial grade video created for you and for free. It's the get over that barrier to entry, that pretty steep barrier to entry. So with a spend commitment behind it, you can run that, and we'll set goals to ensure that, all right, we get profitability back at your desired profitability level. And again, we are looking the ecosystem as a whole. Is that video helping the business grow? Not is that video getting you a 10x on a single platform, but not hurting your profits for your total marketing efforts.
Awesome. Thinking about connected TV as part of our agency services, we constantly evaluate what our clients want and need. We've worked with larger and larger brands. CTV, connected TV, has become a major part of the conversation. It's one of those channels that really unlocks bigger and bigger growth, right? Bigger growth opportunities. Linear is dying, but TV still works. It's just changed. Honestly, I think for the better. We have clear visibility into real data, so we can actually build full funnel strategies for our clients. Thinking about Mountain in that, we've tested Tatari, we've tested Trade Desk, we've tested Basis, we've tested Stack-A-Dack, we've tested a bunch of different tools, and we landed on Mountain for a few reasons. One of those is it has incredible tools for us. So it's applying the programmatic media buying capabilities, but it's giving us tools like frequency capping, cost controls, the creative accelerator, which as an agency are huge tools to help support our clients and their specific goals. In addition to the platform's ease of use, the reactiveness of the Mountain team, and the investment, honestly, that they make in our entire team, right? They, in terms of education and the training, making sure that as new product features come out, we're educated on those. We understand exactly how to use them. They're, I think they have very thick skin. They take feedback from us very well. And from an agency perspective, it's really powerful because they've made it clear to us that their success is impinged on our success, and our success is pinned on our client's success. So, I just appreciate them giving them their laurels here, like that they are so receptive to the feedback that we have about how to make their tool better. They actually listen and they act on those suggestions, as part of the reason why we've made such a strategic decision with them as a partner. Stephen, something I'm interested in hearing from you real quick is, what agency exclusive features or levers do you find the team using most often? So frequency capping, brand lift studies, audience testing, obviously the creative accelerator is a big part of that, but what do you see as like the most valuable tools that we've talked to Mountain about that they actually built for us?
I mean, frequency capping is absolutely there. Again, even though they're great at it, they don't go crazy with their impressions, but it's still having that safety of the caps. Or sometimes I literally want you to see this once a month and then move on, meaning because I want reach, right? So having those in place is great, but it's really that testing and their help with the testing, right? They can help us set it up. They'll help us like, hey, this is what the client wants. Because right now I'm kind of excited because we ran a test in a state. One of their clients, they're sold everywhere. One of those, products where it's CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, Target, you can get it everywhere, right? And so it's very hard to measure like what works. So we did a holdout test within a state, and the great news is they get retail level reporting at a month basis. So not great, but we were able to see the lift. Again, where were we and where were we not, right? And we were able to see a sizable lift because, again, smaller client, it sounds like a lot, but there's like a $30,000 budget for the test per month. And what we saw there is like, hey, we can't test the United States. We're going to see like a 0.1 jump, right? And so what we do is, hey, we're going to go into one state, and it is a state that we had a lot of data on and a lot of stores in. And so let's do it. And so we were able to see like literally like a 10% jump in the retail sales because, again, we're focused on it and we didn't try to spread it everywhere, see where it worked, right? And one of the other things I want to point out that I think is very unique to Mountain that I love about them, they didn't make this for us, this is just how they work, is they're CTV first, right? Most 95% of the other CTV companies out there literally are going to be a display company that sends display ads out, and then their CTV is basically remarketing. So they're going to have decent CTV numbers because all they're doing is remarketing to everybody that went to your website. That's their TV targeting. A lot of them don't directly target with CTV, which they're CTV first. And they actually offer a backup of ads that if someone has viewed a TV commercial on streaming, then they will serve ads to the devices on that IP network, meaning their house, right? And so that backs up so we could get direct click attribution. We tested that inside and out. Now we just trust their view through because it is actually correct, right? It is absolutely correct, and it's more efficient now that we dropped the ads. And so like it's one of those things where, yeah, they have the system to prove it out. We don't need it anymore, and we're even more efficient now because we're just doing what they're doing. So that's why I love working with them. Like you said, they're willing to change things for us. Their teams are willing to work with us on a weekly like support call to walk us through everything. And their service is great altogether. Meaning they focus on what matters. They're not trying to capture sales, right? They're trying to deliver revenue.
Yeah, awesome. Mike, it sounded like you might have had something in there, or
yeah, just to show how much they support us. My brand strategy team, we have it's like every other month a meeting with Mountain to learn about what's happening and dive into the platform, answer specific questions. They hear feedback in real time, like, hey, we can't really pull that number for reporting. Can you adjust that? It's great. It's a real true partnership.
Awesome. Mike, for you, as you talk to clients and they're evaluating, budget priorities, especially right now. I mean, I think budget is probably like the biggest conversation right now between tariffs and everything else going on in our world. Where does CTV rank in terms of priority for budget expansion when compared to channels like Pinterest, Snap, or influencer marketing?
Yeah, I'm going to say really high on those. It is just like Stephen was saying, being able to see direct performance in a timely manner is very important. And again, while this is viewed through conversions, we've have enough experience by now to trust the data that we're getting in, and it's pretty quick, actionable. Whenever a client asks me about, hey, do you guys do Pinterest? Do you do Snapchat? The answer is yes, but they're very, very heavy view attribution. And the question's always going to be, is your audience there? How do you know? And can you float 30 days before you get a conversion after spending so much time on it? Because they're very, very view-based platforms. Contradicting myself with connected TV, which is a view-based platform, but the turnaround time, the conversion window is so much quicker because we're able to set it up within the ecosystem a lot better, and the targeting that we're able to use is so much better.
Amazing. So jumping ahead, and I know we're coming up on the hour mark. We want to leave a little bit of time if there are any questions for anybody on the brand side or the agency side. Feel free to drop in questions, and we will make sure that we answer those. But Mike, for you, how do you guide brands in measuring impact across Meta, Google, YouTube, and CTV together?
Yeah, this is, you can go back to a previous answer. It's really your bottom line. The ROAS numbers by channels, CPCs by channels, they don't matter if it's not supporting your business. And when we as Attention say we want to profitably grow businesses, we really mean it. We want to look for prospecting. Is this platform actually helping your business grow, or is it just making itself look really good? Because we can make any platform have a 10x and you could be not growing at all. In fact, it could be really, really hurting your business. So when we evaluate Mountain versus the ecosystem versus anything else, including message marketing, we're going to look at, are your new customers growing? Or is your revenue growing? Are the ecosystem new customer CPA remaining in a good spot? Same with your profitability. Are they in a good spot? And if it's not, why? And let's pull those levers to try to figure that out.
And Stephen, for you, how do you define when you think about bringing connected TV in? So Mike and his team talk to their client, and the client is saying, yeah, we're in. Then it falls on your plate, and you have to define where connected TV fits in the client's marketing ecosystem. Walk us through how you determine what our strategy is and how we expand on that strategy over time.
Absolutely. It starts with a clear goal. You have to have the clear goal, the KPI that matters to your business goals, right? If it's an indicator, it has to be actually attached to a business result, right? Let's make sure we're moving that needle, right? And that's the biggest thing. So, use your creative right, but it's who is it? Like, what data do we have on who your audience is? Like, that's the biggest thing. If we don't know, we can use the keyword match, the Mountain match system. Like, if we don't know, like if you have no idea, you're a brand new business, we don't know who wants our thing, we can use Mountain match on keywords that are related to it, and it can help us get there. But we really need to know who, and just start with the most granular. Like I said, the niche, you want to have presence to those most likely. So even if that's one state of coffee drinkers between the two age ranges and certain income levels, that's fine. That's still 500,000 people, right? Or 1 million people. Like, again, you don't have to talk to 20, 50, 100 million devices, right? It's go down, make it work, figure out how it works, and then we're going to step and scale. We're not going to scale immediately. We don't want to scale to find out where it works. No, we want to find out where it works, then scale.
Something that you just said, that 100 million households, we showed that case study earlier from Bones, where we had reached 90 million households in the United States. But that was over the course of 2 years as our in-market audiences, as we constructed them, have come in and out of what we determine as like the highest probable net new customer, right? So you can target super broad, if you have a product that everybody needs, like insurance, or you can target down using very defined constraints to say, we know that these are our highest probable markets, and we want to make sure that we're tapping into them at the right frequency over time. So just to dive into some questions real quick. So Stephen, this was a question, I think directed at something that you said. So love that Mountain is CTV first, but does it have omni-channel capabilities? Can we retarget to display or other channels through Mountain?
Yes, you can absolutely retarget to display through Mountain. Yes, it's just not there first. I don't believe that, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mountain, but you can't target directly just display. It's only remarketing with the display because they're just trying to connect that TV view to a click. So yes, you can remarket on other channels. Absolutely. Right. Video and images.
Cool. And I think Jacob might have some more questions for us. So rounding out here, we'll just
no, absolutely. It's been just first of all, a fantastic, super insightful discussion so far about connected TV. I really do hope everyone that is joining us today has a lot of good insightful strategies and at least some potent talking points to really bring back to their team to start really kind of taking advantage of this third pillar of performance marketing. So the couple that I just want to touch on, since we do have a small amount of time, we've been talking about some geo-targeting and different kind of localities throughout this conversation. And when we think about that, we are sometimes thinking about e-commerce, sometimes larger companies. But what about for local brands? Does CTV work really well for local as well as they do for sort of the larger national advertisers?
Yes.
Absolutely it does. We did even one regional or local car wash. It's in multiple cities, but local in California, and absolutely, again, locality, and we even like geo target within a few miles. Absolutely.
We've done that with restaurant groups, with law firms, with flower shops, with car washes, with e-commerce businesses. Really, like connected TV. What I love about this new era of TV is that it broke down the gated gardens that used to prevent the challenger brands from getting into a medium that just feels more premium, right? Like TV, if you're on TV, it's crazy. Like that's my brand, that's my business. It's amazing. And the power is that we can choose the geos, we can choose the zip codes, we can choose on top of layered audiences with people who love to eat outside or are car enthusiasts or love coffee, whatever it might be. We can leverage all of these different programmatic tools on top of the regional constraints that we may or may not have, right? Whether we want to go national, we want to niche all the way down to a very specific zip code. We want to drive foot traffic into a storefront. Whatever the goal is, we can develop the strategy for those businesses so that they can achieve those goals. And then we also have all those additional levers that Mountain has provided us, like frequency capping and all, like just ways that we can limit the number of times any specific person sees our ad so that we can make sure that we're driving the right people to the store at the lowest cost possible.
Okay, so for the final question that we have time here, so I'm a digital marketer, but I'm a first-time TV advertiser. What growing pains may I experience getting started on the channel?
If you haven't done YouTube or any video content, that would be the growing pain, is just getting used to top of funnel tactics and being okay with that. But we'd be happy to walk you through it. I'm sure Mountain would too. But yeah, no, and it's just setting expectations correctly. Like Mike had mentioned, don't expect the conversion within the first week, maybe, but within 30 days, yeah, we're going to start seeing stuff. But don't be day one expecting conversions to flow in.
Yeah, like
go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say, like, it's not like shopping, like Google Shopping, where you are trying to get that conversion right then and there. It is introducing a longer path to conversion. That's why we've been talking view versus click-through conversion. as your performance marketing partner, we want to optimize off a click conversion, but view is a part of the everything, and especially on view-based platforms. So how do you optimize properly around that? It takes a minute, set 5, 7 days, 15, 14 days for the system to understand and for the business to kind of self-correct as you start to invest. And then once you find your performance and find your flow, that's when the scaling starts happening.
And lean in just with a portion of your budget. Just 10, 20%. Don't go 50% in.
Yeah. And it's also it's a different language, right? Like when you think about Meta, Facebook and Instagram and or Google search or Google shopping, it's all different metrics. That's really leans into what Stephen was saying about you have to have experience in a view-based platform where the way the user interacts, the end user, the customer interacts with the platform is fundamentally different, right? Like they're not clicking on the ad. You have to tell them a story that gets them to take another action outside of a click. Pick up their phone, scan a QR code, go to your built-in browser in your phone or on your laptop or tablet while you're sitting in front of a TV, or be so memorable, right? Have an experience that is just so memorable that when they're at the store, they're thinking about, oh, I know this brand from somewhere. Where was it? Oh, it was that commercial. It was so funny. It was so engaging. I loved every second of it. And I believe in that brand, right? So but you have to be able to know that you're not going to get these definitive actions like a click. People are taking, and it's a little bit more friction in the funnel from going from a TV ad that you saw on your TV when it interrupted your favorite TV show to the thing that actually got them to the website, Googling you or whatever else.
Well, guys, thank you so much. This has been just a fantastic conversation, and I want to thank everyone at home for joining us today. Now, if you would like to learn more about the Attention Agency and everything they can do for you, please feel free to scan that QR code you see on your screen. Now, if you're so glued to this session that you didn't take as many notes as you would have liked, don't worry. We love a good post-show email, and you'll get one in your inboxes with a recording of this session in the near future. Now, if you enjoyed this discussion and would like to watch more like it, check out our back catalog of on-demand events at mountain.com/webinars, where you'll also be able to find out what we have coming up next, which is actually our very first Mountain Forums workshop we're calling Let's Be Upfront. Everyone can advertise on TV. This half-day event will explore everything from the state of the CTV industry and how to find your audiences to ways to develop creative that converts and so much more. It's happening on May 15th, and trust us, you won't want to miss it. Thank you so much again for joining us, and we'll see you at the next forum.